concerning mood congruent judgment. So what is mood congruent judgment and how does it affect you? Everyone experiences mood congruent judgment, but people differ in the extent to which it affects their everyday life. A simple and broad definition of mood congruent judgment is the theory that emotions are linked to people's actions and perspectives. Mood congruent judgment can be when someone is in a negative mood, all they can think about is bad memories, or when someone is in a positive mood, all their memories flock around good events. But this connection between mood and action goes deeper than this. When people are in a certain mood, they tend to change their view of life, thus changing their behavior slightly or even drastically. Two genres that this theory is useful in is economics and psychology. In economics, this theory is very important to producers and sellers. They use this theory of human behavior to manipulate people's moods by either giving them things or discounting items so that the buyer will be in a good mood. They do this because when in a good mood, the buyer is more likely to make another purchase. Another area in which this mood congruent judgment is useful in is psychology. The more a psychologist is able to predict behavior based on moods of people, the more they are able to provide information about people to help others. Some examples of mood congruent judgment that you may relate to are family situations, gamblers, criminals, large corporations, and workplace situations. Mood congruent judgment may appear in family situations when a family member, or perhaps a family friend, does something nice to make you feel good, only to be followed by them asking something of you, somewhat like emotional bribery. Next, gamblers are fueled by moods and emotions of excitement and happiness. This blinds their judgment of logic, and they can only think about whether they are going to win again, but not of whether they are spending all their money or wasting their time. Another example is criminals. Most criminals are in a state of sadness or depression, which limits their long-term thinking skills, so that they do not think about what they're going to do or how this will affect them long term. Also, if in a negative state of mind, criminals will have a cloud of sadness that morphs reality in almost all aspects of their life. I briefly touched on large corporations, but a good example of this is phone companies. Phone companies give out free phones all the time, but what is the motive behind this? When people receive a free phone, all they can think about is how great it is that they got a free phone. But when buyers are in this cloud of happiness, phone companies swoop in and convince the buyer to commit to a long-term phone contract plan that may be longer, more expensive than they would have ever agreed to had they not gotten that free phone. Lastly, mood congruent judgment can be found in the workplace environment. Many bosses give raises to employees to keep them at that establishment. Also, dinner and holiday parties can be used to boost moods and make them feel like they are appreciated, even if they are not in their normal workday. Everyone has been blinded by their emotions at one point in their life. We all face it. But if we are aware of it, we are more likely to fight off actions and behaviors that we might regret later. Some evidence for mood congruent judgment is a social experiment that was conducted to determine if there is a difference between how people act according to their moods. Researchers evaluated moods of random people at a library without them knowing why, and then asked them for some paper. The results showed that people in bad moods were less likely to give if asked demandingly, and people who were in good moods gave regardless of how they were asked, thus showing that behavior is linked to mood. Here are my resources that were used to create this presentation. Thanks for your time, and thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and learned a little about mood congruent judgment and the effects of it. So thank you and have a great day.